Hockey North is back after another crazy week in the PWHL. We saw things get a little chippy in the New York-Montreal game, but it was MPP who got the last laugh. Susanna Tapani scored in regulation and OT to help Minnesota to yet another win. You had Lauren Gable, 3 goals in 2 games in a Boston win and loss, and we saw an early PWHL classic on Saturday night between Toronto and Montreal. What's up, everybody? Rob Pizzo, Saroya Tinker with you. And Saroya, we're almost at the quarter of the season mark for a few teams in the league. And I've been waiting for a while for that instant classic game, that game that people are going to, talk about at the water cooler. Did you see that game? Well, we had it on Saturday night. And of course, Toronto, Montreal, Saturday night. Toronto had the lead. Marie-Philippe Poulin put on a show to tie the game. We saw our first shootout. And Toronto comes out on top, and we've got to dissect this game. And let's start with the shootout. One of the rules I personally love in the PWHL is when you get to that shootout, use people at your discretion. We saw MPP shoot 4 times, scoring once. Are you in favor of this rule? Do you like that you can use people however you like, or do you want to say 1 time and that's it?
I think Coach Corey Chevry knows exactly what she's doing. I mean, we saw Poulin in the last 30 seconds of that game. She said, that's okay. I'll put y'all on my back and score for you. So I think Corey was trying to use that momentum into the shootout. Obviously, she only got 1 of those goals in the shootout, but I mean, who better than to win the game, Poulin?
Some people are against it, and I don't get it, because there's no other point in a hockey game where you can tell a coach, no, you can't play this person, unless, of course, they got a penalty. Why would, at the most important time of the game, you be able to say you can't use that? If you want Marie-Philippe Poulin to shoot 100 times in a row, I'm in favor of it.
Exactly. I'm in favor of it, too. We have a 5-player shootout, so, I mean, if she wants to go 3, 4, 5 times, why not send her? Especially if she's hot that game. That's who deserves to go.
And then you got Lauriane Rougeau, a defender, who ends this game. Top shelf. You were a defender. I mean, you don't see it very often, but what a goal here.
Yeah, I must say, in shootouts in practice, some of the defense are the ones with the moves. So Coach Troy Ryan obviously knew that Lauriane Rougeau had something to offer, and she did. She got that top shelf on Debian, and no one else could really score and get past her that whole game. We saw her stand on her head, but Rougeau got that top shelf.
That's what I was going to ask you. I wonder if that's one of those things you're kind of auditioning during practice. I know I'm a defender, coach, but look what I can do. And she proved it. I wonder how many more times we're going to see defenders just kind of coming out when the shootout comes in.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, a lot of the practices that I was a part of, you throw the pucks in the middle at the end. You go until the last person standing. And honestly, I mean, Lindsay Eastwood was a great shootout contender. Rougeau's we're going to see defense be great in shootouts this year, especially if we see more shootouts happen.
All right, something else I got to ask you about is handshakes. There was a little bit of controversy this week. Montreal was taking on New York, and we've seen teams shaking hands after every single game. And there was some miscommunication. New York left. Montreal was kind of standing there thinking, why aren't we shaking hands? The league sent out a press release saying they apologized. There was miscommunication. But from now on, they're going to be shaking hands after every single game. I got a bit of a hot take. I'm not someone who thinks you need to shake hands after every professional hockey game. I like the way other leagues do it, where, after a playoff series, the team's eliminated, you shake hands. You think they should be shaking hands every single game?
Like you said, we're at the quarter-way mark. I think that we can probably put it to rest.
Yeah.
A lot of the women are friends off the ice and obviously national team teammates, but come on, when it's game time, the gloves are off and you're fighting for that W no matter who you're playing against.
You're going to see these players a lot. It's a 6-team league, 24 games. You're gonna see them again very, very soon. I just don't think the handshake's needed.
And who knows? I mean, maybe the handshakes are going to be something that people want to watch at the end of some of these physical games, because handshake lines could get heated as well.
Oh yeah, that's when we should be miking players up. Let's start talking about some of these teams. Boston. Having trouble scoring right now. Hillary Knight yet to score. 4 games without a point. They have the lowest points per game in the league. I know it's early, but cause for concern with Boston?
Honestly, I'm not too concerned. They've got Elena Mueller, they've got Lauren Gable, they've got firepower that can score, and honestly, I think we're just waiting for them to start clicking. We saw Elena Mueller and Gable start clicking in the past couple games here. Elena had a bunch of first-hand assists, Gable with the goals, and I think as soon as they start implementing Hillary Knight into it, it's over for a lot of these teams, to be honest. So watch out for Boston starting to click.
That being said, I know we all tried to handicap this league and try to say this team's going to be good, this team's not going to be good, but it was a fresh piece of paper for all of us. Now that we've seen some games, is there a team that's jumped out to you, either good or bad, that has really surprised you so far?
Honestly, I'm gonna have to go with Minnesota. They're in first place right now, but at the same time, they had a coaching change right at the beginning of the season, and they've had a great time winning in regulation, which we haven't necessarily seen. A lot of the teams are going to overtime. We saw our first shootout, so I'm very impressed with Minnesota, and a lot of pressure being on Heisey as well as the first overall draft pick, but she's living up to that name, and I'm surprised at Minnesota, but expecting them to keep the heat on.
So let's take a look at some of our biggest moments of the week that we want to get in here, and we're going to start with Montreal. I've seen celebrations after a win before. Haven't seen this. Did you ever dance after winning a game?
Oh yes, of course. That locker room music goes on, and the locker room's usually pretty wild, but they're dancing on the ice. I love it.
All right, next up, we got Jessie Eldridge, who does what you're supposed to do in hockey. Scores a goal, and yeah, there's the goal. And your stick is everything in hockey, and you gotta thank your stick. I know hockey players can be a little superstitious. I have a feeling we're gonna see her do that again. Did you ever kiss your stick?
I never kissed my stick, probably because I didn't score enough goals. So shout out to Jessie Eldridge for giving her stick the credit on that one, but she's been really great on the draws and getting pucks to the net.
I've always wondered if athletes look at the signs that are in the stands because you've got enough to worry about. But there's been one person who's been making a name for herself other than the fact that she is a former Olympian, Annie Guglia, with these signs going nuts on social media. Did you read signs when you were a player?
Of course, that was one of my favorite things to do. You come out during warm-up, you see the crowd, pick out your people you want to say hello to, and definitely one I would want to say hi to. These signs are absolutely awesome. I have seen some really awesome signs so far.
And last one, we've been miking up players all year, and we're going to continue to do it all year, and people absolutely loved Carly Jackson. Here's a little taste of that.
Oh, no! Yes! Let's go. She completely baseballed that. Watch. That's so sick. She's a well-rounded athlete.
First off, you can catch that whole thing on all of CBC Sports' social media accounts, but it goes to show it doesn't matter who you are in hockey, if you're a third string goalie or a starting center, if you've got personality, people love to hear it.
Oh yes, and I will say Carly Jackson is one of my favorite people I've ever played with. She's such a positive energy force, whether she's your starting string or your third string. So Carly is absolutely awesome, and I know people love her. If you don't love Carly, the problem's probably you.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So we saw a lot of action this week, and we're going to see more action next week, and we've got you covered here on CBC. Saturday, January 27th, Ottawa at Montreal. Puck drop for that one, 3:30 Eastern Time. You can catch it on CBC Television and, of course, on GEM. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.